In my senior year of high school, Song Shuyao, the campus belle, once borrowed a sum of money from me to see a doctor and asked me not to tell anyone about it. As a result, she used the money for an abortion operation and died on the operating table of a small clinic due to massive bleeding. Many years later, Lu Jingyan, the unattainable academic god, crazily pursued me and proposed to me. Until I was 8 months pregnant, he imprisoned me in a basement in the suburbs. He cut open my belly and said, "This is what you owe Yao Yao and our child." It turned out that before the campus belle died, she had held his hand and asked him not to blame me. He firmly believed that I had deliberately killed the woman he loved and their child. That day, I died with my eyes wide open under Lu Jingyan's butcher knife. Then, filled with overwhelming hatred, I returned to the day when Song Shuyao came to borrow money from me. 1. On the 10th day of being locked in the basement. There was already a foul smell on my body. During this period, I tried countless ways to escape, but all to no avail. This basement was specially built for me when it was constructed 3 years ago, and it has only one exit. Just as I was completely desperate, a sliver of light suddenly seeped through the crack of the door. Hunger had made me so dizzy that I couldn't stand up. I carefully supported my belly and crawled towards the stairs. A pair of exquisite black handmade leather shoes appeared in front of me, and the owner of the shoes stepped on my palm. I looked up at the person coming and, with my other hand tightly clutching the hem of his pants, I pleaded for the last time, "Lu Jingyan, I really didn't know that Song Shuyao was pregnant. She just said she needed to borrow money to see a doctor at that time." Lu Jingyan grabbed my hair and frowned in disgust, saying, "Do you think I'll believe you? What right do you have to mention Yao Yao's name? Do you know how good Yao Yao was? When she was dying, she even told me that you had a crush on me and asked me to forget her and take good care of you." He spoke wildly with a deranged expression. Me, having a crush on Lu Jingyan. It was a long time ago, before Song Shuyao was even together with him, even when they were finally together. And I found out that the child Song Shuyao was carrying was his only after I was imprisoned by Lu Jingyan. But now, no matter how I explained, it was useless. Song Shuyao was already dead. The baby in my belly was moving restlessly. After all, I couldn't bear it. It already had a life. Holding back my tears, I looked at Lu Jingyan and continued, "You can kill me to avenge Song Shuyao, but the child is not just my child, it's also your child. Please spare its life." "Okay, child, you're ridiculously stupid. How could I let a slut like you conceive my child? The random man I found for you has actually given you a good deal." I felt as if I had been struck by 5 thunderbolts. No wonder. After we got married, the number of times he touched me could be counted on one hand. Even most of the time I was unconscious. And he just said I was too tired. Thinking about it now, I'm afraid he had drugged me and planned it from the beginning. With such thoughts, hatred instantly engulfed me, while Lu Jingyan was in a daze. I opened my mouth and bit his tiger's mouth, using almost all my strength. The smell of blood filled my mouth, and I just wished I could die together with the person in front of me. The sharp blade entered my abdomen, and intense pain swept through my nerves. My hands and feet were tied up, and I couldn't even ask for a quick death. Lu Jingyan held up the bloody baby in front of me and said, "Qing Yuan, you killed my child and Yao Yao. Now it's finally your turn." I stared at him with my eyes wide open. Hate. I just lent out a sum of money. I just had a trace of affection for this person when I was young and ignorant. Why did I end up in this situation? I'm not willing. Why do I have to suffer such a painful massacre? Why can the person who harmed me shamelessly shift all the blame onto me? I'd rather turn into an evil spirit and gouge out his heart, cut off his tongue, and bite off every inch of his flesh to avenge my blood. Perhaps because of my deep obsession, a hazy white fog suddenly rose in front of my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I actually returned to the day when Song Shuyao came to borrow money from me. 2. When Song Shuyao sent me a message, I was still having a class in the classroom. Our high school is a century-old school and also a first-class demonstration high school, so usually, the teachers are strict, and there is basically no chance to play with mobile phones. Only a few classmates secretly bring their phones to the dormitory and can play with them after the evening self-study class is over. Because she had been looking for me quite frequently recently and she told me that she didn't feel well, I had been persuading her to see a doctor. Afraid of missing her message, I just bought a piece of bread at noon today and rushed back to the dormitory. Maybe I had a bit of low blood sugar. I felt dizzy for a while before I could recover. When I opened my eyes, I remembered everything about my previous life. The surging hatred instantly engulfed me. My hand holding the phone was shaking. The same sentence as in the previous life was sent in the chat box. Yuan, I'm really sorry. I have no other choice. I'm ill and need at least 5 000 yuan, but I only have a little over 2,000 yuan on me. Can you lend me some? I promise I'll pay it back. In the previous life, I asked her what kind of illness it was. She replied angrily, "Are you afraid that I won't pay it back?" Song Shuyao and I had known each other since we were little. She was always skillful in manipulating me. Just this one sentence made me fall into the trap of self-justification. At that time, in my opinion, she was my best friend. How could I let her think that way? Maybe she just didn't want others to know her privacy. At that time, as a student, I had saved up my pocket money for more than 2 years, and I only had about 2,000 yuan. I was still short of 1,000 yuan, and my living expenses were 800 yuan a month. I lent her 500 yuan, but she said it wasn't enough and asked me to think of another way, so I had to borrow money from my dormitory roommates. In this way, I managed to gather another 500 yuan for her. As a result, in the next 2 months, in order to pay off the debt, I survived by eating the old Beijing instant noodles that cost 5 yuan for 2 packs. Later, I didn't wait for the news of Song Shuyao's recovery. In fact, after lending her the money, I couldn't get in touch with her anymore, until after the college entrance examination. By chance, I heard my mother mention that Song Shuyao had died of massive bleeding during an abortion operation in a small clinic. I was struck like a bolt from the blue at that time. I had the biggest quarrel with my mother. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She calmly accepted my emotions and said, "What's the use of telling you? Don't you need to take the college entrance examination? I've said that you two aren't suitable to be friends. Also, Qing Yuan, I hope you understand that you can't interfere in anyone's fate." In the following days, I fell into endless self-blame. I always thought that if I had been more careful and asked more questions, would Song Shuyao not have died before marrying Lu Jingyan? I once analyzed myself and told him about this past event. At that time, he held me tightly in his arms, and I couldn't see his expression clearly, but his tears fell on my neck, and I was so touched that I thought I had found my soulmate. Could he understand all of me, and even feel my pain, when he shed tears? Was he wondering if what I said was true or false? Or was he excited and crying because his revenge was one step closer? 3. In this new life, I'm no longer that pitifully stupid high school student. I scrolled through the chat records between us. My face grew colder and colder. Since she dropped out of school in her sophomore year of high school, she often sent me messages about the flashy nightlife outside. Then she pretended to act coquettishly and said, Yuan, I really don't understand what's so good about studying. Don't you feel bored? How about you climb over the wall and come out tonight? Let's go to a bar, okay? Sister will show you the world. And my reply was, Yao, it's not safe for you as a girl. While your student status is still retained, you should come back and repeat the grade. Otherwise, what will we do when we become adults in the future? Qing Yuan, I'm just not good at studying. Do you have to show off in front of me? Her words were a bit too much, and I didn't want to reply to her later. I was really angry at that time. As a result, she came to me soon after and sneaked into the school to give me flowers. Good Yuan, don't be angry. Okay, you know what kind of temper I have. I'm not good at being roundabout. I just want you to be as happy as me and feel sorry that you're too tired every day. Shuyao, everything will be tiring. I just want to make sure that I won't be so tired in the future. Forget it, I won't talk to you anymore. Bookworm. Did Song Shuyao really feel sorry for me? If she felt sorry for me, would she have caused trouble for me during the mock exam and asked me to sneak out of the school to celebrate her birthday? If she felt sorry for me, would she have said it nicely that Lu Jingyan shouldn't blame me, and then exaggeratedly told him about that little bit of affection I had in my first year of high school? With such thoughts, looking at the anxious messages she sent in the chat box, I replied with a cold expression, typing, Yao, what do you need to borrow so much money for? What kind of illness is it? Just like in the previous life, she became angry and sent a series of messages popping up crazily, saying, What do you mean, Qing Yuan? If you don't want to lend me the money, just say so. Okay, you look down on me, don't you? You're worried that I can't pay it back, right? When I saw these messages, I just felt it was ironic and ridiculous. I was about to type out the words of refusal between my fingers, but I subconsciously thought of a better way. For my good friend, dying is such an easy thing. It's more fun to keep her alive. Yao, I don't have that much money, but I can borrow some from my roommates. How about you come to my class to find me in the afternoon, and I'll give it to you. Yuan, I knew you were the best. See you in the afternoon. 4. During the break in the afternoon class, Song Shuyao came to look for me outside the class on time. The next class was Chinese teacher Qin Yu's class. Her grandfather was an old Chinese medicine doctor, so this teacher knew some basic skills of taking the pulse and diagnosing illnesses. Usually, whenever a student wasn't feeling well, she would discover it in time and send the student to the hospital. I deliberately borrowed money in the class and made a big fuss about Song Shuyao being ill. In the previous life, she repeatedly told me not to tell anyone, saying that she didn't want others to discuss her. This time, it was more difficult to borrow money, and she even forgot to tell me this, but even if she had said it, I wouldn't have obeyed. Yuan, have you managed to gather enough money? She grabbed my hand anxiously and said. I was just about to speak. Teacher Qingyu suddenly appeared and grabbed Song Shuyao's arm, saying, Song Shuyao, what do you need to borrow money for? And it's such a large sum. Before she could finish her words, her face suddenly turned extremely terrible looking. Song Shuyao, come to my office. Just with these words, Song Shuyao's face changed drastically. She directly shook off Qingyu's hand and said, I'm no longer a student here. What right do you have to care me? If you're not a student here, then why are you still coming here? Call your parents. I need to talk to them about your student status. Old crazy woman, are you annoying? You can call whoever you want, right? Just because you have a big face, right? Song Shuyao didn't even take the money. She pushed past teacher Qingyu and ran away. 5. When I returned to the dormitory in the evening, I logged on to QQ and asked anxiously, Yao, why did you get so angry with the teacher? What about your illness? You haven't even received the money yet. Don't pretend to be kind. You deliberately let everyone know that I borrowed money from you, right? Yao, is that how you think of me? Since I don't have enough money, of course I have to borrow from others. Is being ill something that can't be said? After sending the messages, I turned off my phone and covered my head with the quilt to sleep. In my dream, Lu Jingmian's face became clearer and clearer. His face was covered with my blood, and he just stared at me like a ghost coming to claim my life. But surprisingly, I wasn't afraid. Instead, I kept my eyes wide open, wanting to remember his appearance. I even randomly grabbed things in my dream, wanting to die together with him. When I woke up, my fists were clenched tightly, and my nightgown was soaked with sweat. Lu Jingmian, in this life, I will return the pain you inflicted on me 1,000 times over. 6. Chinese teacher Qingyu is a very responsible person. After she discovered that Song Shuyao was pregnant, although she didn't spread the news, she immediately found the head teacher and contacted Song Shuyao's parents together. They thought that although Song Shuyao had dropped out of school, she was still a minor, and they were afraid that something might happen to her. Song Shuyao's father was a person who cared a lot about face and couldn't keep things secret. He immediately grabbed Song Shuyao and cursed at her. Soon, the nearby neighbors all knew about it, among whom there was a classmate who lived very close to Song Shuyao's house. Lu Jingmian naturally could not know. He took 3 days off in a row. After returning to school, Lu Jingmian strode towards me, looking menacing. I was sitting at my desk doing homework, and he casually picked up a stack of books next to me and threw them at me, saying, Qingyuan, I really didn't expect you to be such a person. I easily dodged, then stood up and slapped him in the face, saying, Are you crazy? What kind of person am I? He was stunned on the spot by my slap. When he came to his senses, his whole face turned red with anger. He was about to rush over and punch me, but he was tightly held back by the male classmate next to him. I looked at him with a puzzled expression and asked, Lu Jingmian, tell me clearly what I did to you. Qingyuan, you know very well what you've done. I'm warning you, if you play any more tricks, I won't let you off. Oh, I asked you to tell me, but you won't. You can't even tell me what I did. So what are you going crazy about now? Lu Jingmian wanted to say something, but he hesitated and didn't say it. He seemed not to want others to know that he had had a forbidden relationship with Song Shuyao and had even gotten her pregnant. He just pushed aside the classmate holding him back, straightened his already messy coat, and said, It's nothing. I just personally don't like you and am dissatisfied with you. A person like you. I will never like you in my life. Are you satisfied? Ha ha ha. Do you even hear what you're saying? Whether you like me or not has nothing to do with me. Who do you think you are? Where did you get the nerve? Qingyuan, you know what I'm talking about. Looking at his confident appearance, I just found it ridiculous. It seemed that Song Shuyao had told him about our previous chat content a long time ago. Both of them were very confident. Song Shuyao thought she was really amazing for winning over the person I liked. Lu Jingmian didn't doubt the truth of what Song Shuyao said at all. He was confident that I must like him. What do I know? You can never speak clearly. Also, if you're really dissatisfied with me, I suggest you calm down first, think about what you want to say to me, and then find a piece of paper of the right size and write down all your dissatisfaction. Even if you change, I won't change my opinion of you. No, you're overthinking. What I mean is that you can put it under your tongue when you die. Maybe in your next life, you'll be able to speak properly. Qingyuan, don't keep calling my name. When you say it, I feel that my name has become quite disgusting. 7. Surprisingly, after the quarrel with Lu Jingyan, Song Shuyao took the initiative to find me again. As soon as the evening self-study class ended at night, I received her QQ message. Yuan, what's going on? Didn't you like Lu Jingyan very much? How could you quarrel with him like that? Did Lu Jingyan tell you that? There was a pause on the other side of the phone, and soon a message was sent. What? How could Lu Jingyan tell me? I'm not familiar with him. I heard it from other classmates. What exactly happened? Don't you like him? I met Lu Jingyan earlier than Song Shuyao. At that time, we were in the same competition group. He had a good-looking appearance and was also polite. Most importantly, once I went home too late after school and met some bad people. It was Lu Jingyan who appeared in time and drove them away, and he also accompanied me all the way home. Later, Song Shuyao had several relationships. She asked me if I wanted to give it a try. She said that a life without falling in love in high school was incomplete. This was the most youthful and ignorant time. Only the person you fell in love with at this time was the one you truly liked. The people you met in the later life were all mixed with considerations of advantages and disadvantages and the calculations among adults. I thought her words were a bit strange at that time, but I couldn't find the right words to refute her for a moment. I just remained silent without speaking, but Lu Jingyan's figure flashed through my mind. Song Shuyao and I had known each other since we were children. She immediately asked me if I had someone I liked. I said I didn't know if I liked him. I just said that this person had helped me and he was a nice guy. She said that meant I liked him and told me to seize the opportunity. Otherwise, if I missed it, it would be for a lifetime. Song Shuyao dropped out of school in the first semester of her sophomore year of high school. She didn't know that our subsequent high school life was really too busy and tiring. That little bit of affection had long been forgotten in some corner, even after she died later. When Lu Jingyan appeared in front of me again, I suddenly remembered, as if waking from a dream, that encounter that I thought was quite beautiful. As a result, this hazy feeling of admiration became my death warrant. Thinking of these things, looking at the conversation on QQ, I deliberately didn't answer this question but changed the topic and said, Yao, how's your illness? Let's not talk about this for now. I'm asking you about the thing between you and Lu Jingyan. There's nothing between me and him, we're just classmates and in the same competition group. It's just that I was angry because he attacked me that day. So do you still like him now? I deliberately didn't reply to that message and directly turned off my phone and went to sleep. The time for the National High School Students' Physics competition was approaching soon. In the previous life, Lu Jingyan didn't take the college entrance examination and was directly recommended to Tsinghua University through this competition. What should I do? How could I let him have it so easy in this life? If I couldn't ruin his life step by step, what was the point of me living? Song Shuyao continued to pester me on QQ. I resumed my previous earnest appearance and persuaded her. Yao, what are you thinking about all day? These things aren't important. The feelings in our student days are like sand that can't be held. They'll disperse as soon as the wind blows. The most important things for us are definitely further education and our future. Feelings are just a flavoring agent in life. She didn't have an abortion and was hidden by Lu Jingyan. My mother and Lu Jingyan's mother were colleagues. I often heard his mother complain that Lu Jingyan's consumption had been getting higher and higher recently. Probably because of the great pressure as the competition was approaching. Yuan, you're too utilitarian. There are things more important than further education, fame, and fortune in this world. It's a pity that you'll never understand. I'm just studying and taking exams normally. How am I being utilitarian? She really knows how to label people. Then what is it? What other important things do we have besides studying now? The most important thing for both me and Lu Jingyan now is this. Everything else is not important. Alright, bookworm, you'll understand later. Song Shuyao tried very hard to make me understand. As a result, Lu Jingyan skipped classes more and more frequently later. He even dared to find excuses to skip the tutoring classes given by the specially invited famous teachers of the school twice. In order to make Lu Jingyan lose this opportunity for recommendation, Song Shuyao and I worked hard together. In this new life, I also have a side mission of getting rich. I initially tried to persuade my mother to buy stocks, but she just thought I had gone crazy from studying every day. Time waits for no one. My parents divorced early, and my mother basically raised me alone. I had an education fund on a separate card. Taking a risky move, I used that money while she was asleep and deleted the text messages in advance. Fortunately, with the experience of living one more life. My mother told me the password of this card after my college entrance examination. Then I went to an internet cafe and registered a stock account. Before the physics competition, that sum of money had been multiplied several times by me. I transferred the principal back to that card and then used that money to sponsor a girl named Li Yan in the school who was about to give up the college entrance examination at that time. Her grades were no worse than Lu Jingyan's, just because her father was seriously ill and there were younger siblings in the family. She had no choice but to give up the college entrance examination and choose to shoulder the burden of the family. When I offered to sponsor her, she looked surprised. I made up a random excuse, saying that a colleague of my mother's unit wanted to help her. She was so touched that she shed tears. Recently, Lu Jingyan either didn't come to class or dozed off as soon as he came. After all, it's quite difficult to take care of an emotionally unstable pregnant woman. On the day of the final competition, he was almost late. Standing on the balcony on the third floor and looking down, I saw Song Shuyao chasing after him with her hands protecting her belly. It seemed that she saw my figure, and she quickly hid behind the nearby tree. I pretended not to see and continued chatting with Li Yan, and then entered the examination room happily. A few days later, the results of the competition came out. It was normal that I didn't get a ranking in my previous life. I studied majors in medicine and biology all the way through my master's and doctoral degrees. This time I just came to gain some experience. Also, I wanted to ensure that Li Yan and another boy could reach the examination room smoothly. In the previous life, Xie Chen from the neighboring school had a car accident on the day of the examination. In this life, I got to know him in the competition class in advance and took him on another route. I was happy to increase the number of opponents for Lu Jingyan. As I expected, Li Yan was the first place, and the second place was still a boy on the ranking list from the previous life. As for the third place, it was Xie Chen. Lu Jingyan completely lost this opportunity. On the day the results were announced, the teacher comforted him. "Jingyan, it's okay, there's still the college entrance examination. The teacher believes that with your strength, you will definitely be admitted. You just need to adjust your state, or you will." During this period, Lu Jingyan lowered his head and was silent for a moment, and then regained his courage and said, "It's okay, teacher, it's the same for me to take the college entrance examination." I was reading a book next to him and tried my best to restrain the urge to look over. I was afraid that the hatred in my eyes could no longer be hidden. "Lu Jingyan, you're thinking too beautifully. If I let you take the college entrance examination smoothly, what's the point of me living this life again? If you're not at the bottom, if you don't go to hell, how can I live? This is just the beginning. I won't give you any chance to turn things around again." 8. In the last semester of our senior year of high school, we became busier and busier. I was busy encouraging Song Shuyao every day and describing to her how wonderful college life was. I searched the internet for various bloggers and official accounts sharing about college couple relationships and shared them with her. "Shuyao, do you want to come back and study again? There will always be some regrets in life if you don't go to college. I think it's more interesting to have a relationship in college. Everyone has survived high school. In college, we're young and have common topics and hobbies. How wonderful. Do you have to have common topics to be in a relationship? Two people together must have similar outlooks on life and be able to talk to each other. Look at my parents. The gap between them was too big, so they got divorced. Forget it, let's not talk about this." Yuan, have you made up with Lu Jingyan? Sigh, I don't want to think about this. Let's leave the things in the future for the future. I didn't answer her accurately and always gave her vague answers every time, until the college entrance examination was approaching. I took the initiative to talk to her and said, Yao, actually, I don't understand why Lu Jingyan didn't get a ranking in the previous competition. He didn't seem to be in a good state. Although I quarreled with him like that, I still hope he can be admitted. Today, I also heard him say in the class that he's allergic to peanuts. Do you think I should buy allergy medicine and give it to him? Afraid that Song Shuyao didn't know about this, I specifically told her about it. Lu Jingyan attached great importance to this college entrance examination, and the food was personally delivered by his mother, but he still missed the final college entrance examination. On the day of the college entrance examination, he was rushed to the hospital due to an allergic reaction, and because he was sent too late, the long-term suffocation seemed to have caused some problems with his head. The reason why he was allergic was that he kissed Song Shuyao, and the other party had eaten peanuts in advance. Song Shuyao was afraid that he would recover too quickly, so it was only after a long time that she noticed that his face had turned purple-red. 9. On the second day when Lu Jingyan was hospitalized, I was still taking the college entrance examination. as soon as I came out of the examination room. I was going to have lunch and take a good rest so that I could have better energy for the next exam. Song Shuyao came to find me with a bouquet of baby's breath, with her eyes red from crying. She said, Yuan, I'm sorry, I've never dared to tell you about the thing between me and Lu Jingyan. What thing? She lowered her head, looked at her belly with a guilty expression, and said, Yuan, actually, the last time I came to borrow money from you, it was because I was pregnant. Ah. I continued to act surprised to cooperate with her. Don't you want to know who the father of my child is? Who is it? It's Jingyan. Yuan, you won't blame me, right? I looked at her mockingly and didn't speak. It's ridiculous. I actually regarded such a person as a friend. Seeing that I didn't speak, she stuffed the bouquet of baby's breath into my arms all at once and said, Yuan, you'll bless us, right? This is the flower he gave me. He said that baby's breath represents the love of silent guardianship. Yuan. I believe you will also meet the right person. I didn't take the bouquet of flowers and just let it fall to the ground. Then I stretched out my foot and stepped on it heavily, crushing it hard and saying, then why did you choose today to tell me this, my dear friend? Yuan, I didn't mean that. How can you think of me like this? How do I think of you, my dear friend? Look at you, you're really funny. You don't really think I would fall for that kind of inferior man, do you? You treat him like a treasure. Now he's lying in the hospital. Even if he's cured, he'll probably drool. Be a good wife and mother in the future and take good care of your big baby and little baby. But from today on, we're no longer friends. Yuan, what do you mean? I kicked the flowers into the nearby garbage dump and said playfully, it means nothing. It means we're breaking off our friendship. Got it, Yuan. What's so great about you? You're just better at studying than me and have a mother who loves you. Her scolding voice came from behind, but I didn't care at all. 10. After the 3-day college entrance examination ended, Lu Jingyan still hadn't been discharged from the hospital. The examination results came out soon, and I chose the same school as in the previous life, and Lu Jingyan chose to repeat his senior year of high school. But things weren't as simple as he thought. Firstly, due to the long time of suffocation caused by the allergic reaction at that time, his head had been damaged to a certain extent. In a mock examination after he came back, according to his classmates who were repeating the year with him, Lu Jingyan didn't even make it into the top 100 of the grade. Secondly, Song Shuyao's child was born. This matter could no longer be hidden. Lu Jingyan's parents hated Song Shuyao to the core. They thought it was her who had ruined their precious son. They didn't show her any kindness at all, and Song Shuyao's family had been looking for her. As a result, they found that she had already given birth to a child. Her father was so angry that he almost fainted on the spot. Lu Jingyan was tired of dealing with these trivial matters every day. I was so happy that I did experiments for half a month in a row. I wanted to graduate early. I wanted to obtain the resources and achievements of my previous life as quickly as possible. And these things were actually more manageable for me than high school knowledge. 11. When I just finished my first semester of my freshman year of college, Lu Jingyan was already on the verge of dropping out of school. His mother complained to my mother every day about what to do with this son in the future. Since I'm so considerate, of course, I have to help them. I introduced the best assisted reproductive doctor in City B to his mother. She was my senior sister from the same department. Lu Jingyan's mother actually always wanted to have a second child, but she had damaged her body when giving birth to Lu Jingyan and could no longer get pregnant. Finally, due to the various gaps in school and all the trivial matters at home, Lu Jingyan gave up his studies before even insisting on taking the college entrance examination this time. Song Shuya's family no longer cared about her. Lu Jingyan threatened his parents in various ways to take care of Song Shuyao. Until the news came that his mother was pregnant with a second child, he completely broke down. He made a huge scene at home, throwing tantrums like a madman. After being beaten up by his father and pinned to the ground, he finally calmed down. He chose to find a job outside. Without an education and not as smart as he was in his previous life, he finally decided to work in a factory, while Song Shuyao took care of the child at home. To be honest, it seemed like he was already in a very miserable state. But every time I thought of the scene in my previous life when I was cut open with a sharp knife, I wished I could skin him and draw out his bones. However, since he wasn't causing any trouble now, I didn't have any other way, until Li Yan and Xiechen came to play with me. Xiechen invited us to a bar to relax. At first, both Li Yan and I wanted to refuse, but Li Yan thought that I was always buried in the laboratory all day long, so she finally changed her mind and dragged me to go with them. The lights were flashing, and young boys and girls were swaying their waists. The strong rhythm of the music surrounded us. The drunken person swaying in front of me seemed to turn into Song Shuyao. Something flashed by, and I couldn't quite grasp it, until a pair of young girls next to us. The long-haired one asked the short-haired one, "Do you really not remember whose it is?" Suddenly, my mind cleared. Yes. From the time I reunited with Lu Jingyan until we got married. It was several years in total. A person as cautious as him, how could he have gotten someone pregnant in high school? Moreover, considering my previous relationship with Song Shuyao, I knew most of her love affairs. This was also the reason why in my previous life, I never thought she would be with Lu Jingyan, because she always had a steady boyfriend. I was so blinded by one small thing that I couldn't see the whole picture. But I wasn't completely sure. After all, Song Shuyao wasn't that crazy. Was she? Thinking like this, I quickly left the bar and contacted a private detective that night. When the first spring snow fell in City B, I finally got the news. Before Song Shuyao was with Lu Jingyan, she had a rich second-generation boyfriend who was engaged in real estate business locally, but their relationship was very secret, and most importantly, there were signs that they were rekindling their old relationship. This made things interesting. 12. On an ordinary night, Lu Jingyan's co-worker dragged him to a bar to relax. He was originally going to go home to take care of the child, but he couldn't resist the enthusiasm of his co-worker. His life was very tight, but he still wanted to be a good husband and father. That night, instead of relaxing, he was asked to put on his work uniform temporarily and work part-time at a booth, pouring drinks for customers. However, before he even walked over, he saw his wife actively kissing a man. He was about to rush over, but then he heard his wife say softly and wistfully, "Yuan, are you still angry with me? You ignored me at that time, and I was pregnant. Both I and the child needed someone to take care of us." Lu Jingyan felt as if his world had suddenly collapsed. It took him a great deal of willpower to suppress the urge to rush over and question those two adulterers. He took off his work uniform and returned alone to the dirty and chaotic urban village. He kept thinking about how he had ended up in this situation. When was it? The day he found out that Song Shuyao was pregnant, or when he perfunctorily treated the recommended competition, or the kiss that completely ruined his college entrance examination day in his life? Or was it his parents who suddenly became obsessed with having a second child when they were middle-aged? He felt that all the accidents and strange and absurd things were closing in on him, like wave after wave of billows, leaving him with no strength to resist, until he completely fell to the bottom. He bought a lot of wine. This was the most expensive wine he had drunk in the past 2 years. Previously, when he was very sad, he couldn't even drown his sorrows in wine. One reason was that cheap wine tasted terrible and made his head hurt after drinking. The other reason was that Song Shuyao hated the smell of wine. He really loved her deeply. Once upon a time, he thought she was so vivid, like a sudden burst of light in his dull world, but now he realized that this might not be light, but a suffocating abyss. Step by step, he became her sacrificial victim. She enjoyed his life without any burden. 13. Lu Jingyan didn't know how many bottles of wine he had drunk. Finally, Song Shuyao came back. Her face was flushed, and she said with barely concealed disgust, "How much wine have you drunk exactly? Who can live with you like this? If no one can live with me, then who can you live with?" Lu Jingyan smiled sarcastically. Song Shuyao was a little guilty and dared not look at him. Then she quickly walked to the sofa and picked up the child, saying, "Lu Jingyan, you can't push all the mistakes in your life onto others." These words completely enraged Lu Jingyan. He kicked her. Song Shuyao was caught off guard and fell to the ground. Her head hit a wine bottle. Suddenly, blood flowed profusely. The dazzling red made Lu Jingyan extremely excited. Looking at his blood-red eyes, Song Shuyao was completely scared. She tried to appease him, saying, "Jingyan, don't be impulsive. Think about our child." This made things worse. As soon as she said this, Lu Jingyan became even more emotional. "Child? Whose child with you? Jingyan, what do you mean? Are you suspecting me?" Song Shuyao was so scared that her whole body was shaking. Lu Jingyan then smashed another wine bottle and said, "I'm asking you whose fucking child it is, bitch." He slashed at that beautiful face with the glass shards. The feeling of the skin being cut and Song Shuyao's screams, as well as the child's cries, stimulated his senses. Many images flashed through his mind. In the basement, the woman's heart-rending cries appeared in his mind like a movie scene. He felt his head splitting with pain. He exerted crazy force with his hands and smashed another wine bottle. He held the mouth of the bottle, and the shards on the body of the bottle were sharp and long. Song Shuyao was so frightened that her breathing was uneven, looking at her flat abdomen. In that instant, he stabbed it hard. This action was so familiar, as if he had done it before. It was only when the neighbor knocked on the door that he woke up, looking at Song Shuyao, who was like a bloody person beneath him. He hurriedly let go of the glass shards in his hand, then he jumped out of the window on the 3rd floor and ran away. Fortunately, there was a motorcycle downstairs that Song Shuyao used for transportation. The night was a good cover. He fled the city like a rat crossing the street. 14. I learned about the subsequent events from the detective. Song Shuyao was completely disfigured and also lost her fertility. That rich second generation, Qin Yuan, didn't recognize the child at all. She had no choice but to cover her face and do some street cleaning work to support the child, and Lu Jingyan disappeared. Just one sudden afternoon, I suddenly received a strange call. Qing Yuan, are you satisfied with your revenge? You've completely ruined my life. Are you happy now? I quickly realized that it was Lu Jingyan. How can you say that I'm taking revenge on you? This is to fulfill you. Why did you disappear? What about your lover and child? Shut up, bitch. I won't let you go. Funny, how won't you let me go? A disgusting and revolting bug like you. Do you even deserve to compare with me? Haven't you searched for my information? I'm now a well-known medical and biologist both at home and abroad. Can you even get close to me? It's best when the fish is willing to take the bait. In the next 2 years, I often appeared in various interview programs, constantly showing my presence in front of the public, and sharing my daily life, luxury houses, luxury cars, and being picked up by handsome men, while Lu Jingyan was fleeing all over the country. Every time I appeared, there would be detailed time and address information online. Lu Jingyan wasn't without thoughts of taking revenge on me, but the security around me was too tight, and he didn't even have a chance to get close to me. Until I took his parents to participate in an assisted reproduction-related program hosted by my senior sister. That day, I received a strange text message. Qing Yuan, you've forced me to a dead end. I'll drag you to hell with me even if I go to hell. Finally, at an event, he hid in the ventilation duct for 2 days in advance and waited for me, but as soon as he came down, he was almost caught. In order to escape, he chose to smash the nearby French window and ran away through the nearby green belt. It would be easy to catch him, but how could I let him have it so easy and go straight to prison? That would be the happiest choice for him. I just wanted to constantly stimulate him and stir up his emotions. Only in this way would he desperately want to take revenge on me and become so angry that he lost his mind. In the following days, after playing this game a few times, I got bored. Soon, news spread that I was going to Country A for research. This time, I would be traveling by ship, on the one hand, to conduct marine biology research, and on the other hand, passing through international waters. People who often commit murders know that international waters are the most convenient place to kill. Lu Jingyan, you must seize this opportunity. I'm taking the initiative to give you such a good opportunity. At night on the sea, it was pitch black, and endless darkness. As soon as Lu Jingyan showed his head, he was caught by the security guards. I deliberately placed a research paper on how to make men pregnant in the secret room where he was locked up. In fact, there was no such experiment at all, and I wasn't so bored as to specifically research it. I just wanted to make him extremely terrified and on the verge of collapse. As long as he struggled hard enough, he could break free from the hemp rope that bound him. There were only 2 yachts on this vast sea. The other one was driven by several wealthy men who were famous for their wild lifestyle. The guards at night weren't very strict. Lu Jingyan stumbled out and jumped off the deck. He hated me to the core. He climbed onto the other yacht and chose to curry favor with those men. How hard he had to try. Those men were well known for their wild ways and could even be called a nightmare for men in the country. When I saw Lu Jingyan again, he was extremely haggard. He walked limpingly, with his buttocks tightly clenched. He lay on the bed, lifelessly letting the doctor examine him. As soon as he saw me, his emotions became extremely agitated. Kill her, kill her. You promised me that as long as I let you, you would. One of the men walked over and slapped him in the face, saying, promise you what? Can what a man says in bed count? Lu Jingyan covered his buttocks with one hand and his face with the other, looking at the man in disbelief. To be honest, he looked quite delicate and pitiful. Unfortunately, these wealthy men were famous for their cruelty. One of them looked at me and then at Lu Jingyan with red-rimmed eyes. He directly took out a belt from his waist and whipped it at him. You like to scream, right? Then scream enough for me. Scream. Every time Lu Jingyan moved, it affected his wound. In the end, he could only squat down, covering his buttocks, and let him whip. After watching enough, I turned around and left. One of the wealthy men grabbed my arm and kept asking, Dr. Chung, can men really not have children? This guy was a bit crazy. He had always wanted a man to give birth to a child for him. This was also the reason why he had been following me and why he had called me over today. He also said that he could pay a large sum of money for me to research it. Why would I research that? It seemed illegal, but then I thought of Lu Jingyan, who was lying on the bed, with his buttocks up, nursing his wounds. Malicious thoughts welled up in my heart, and I deliberately intimidated him, saying, let's talk about this privately. Lu Jingyan's hysterical screams kept coming from behind the door. I thought that perhaps the revenge could only go this far, and I could only find a way to get him back to the country and send him to prison. But I didn't expect to receive a piece of news a few months later. Lu Jingyan cut open his own belly with a knife. He always suspected that there was a child in his belly. On the one hand, he had been at sea for a long time and had always been locked in the cabin, coupled with the mental torture those men had inflicted on him. It caused him to have a mental breakdown, and he really thought he was pregnant. He couldn't accept himself like this. Finally, he kept cutting his belly with a knife and reached in with his hand, saying, come out, all of you come out. 15. After Lu Jingyan died, my life seemed to lose some of its fun for a while. Even most of the time I was unconscious, and he just said I was too tired. I just felt very bored. Occasionally, I would have nightmares about my previous life, but I didn't feel scared anymore. My mother was very worried about my state. After she retired, she always stayed by my side. I didn't want to be like this either, but after all, people aren't machines. After being washed by too much hatred and malice, one will become numb until another sleepless night. I took 2 sleeping pills and fell into a deep sleep. For the first time, I saw the world after I died in my previous life. My mother looked at me in a pool of blood, her eyes wide with pain. She carefully stitched up my wounds. At that time, Lu Jingyan had great power. My mother didn't question him immediately. She even pretended not to know anything. She went to take care of him. Finally, on the day when he let his guard down, she lit the gas stove at home. A big fire took away the people who had hurt me. Through the flames, I saw her tears. She was so heartbroken. Until the last moment, she was still crying out, my Yuan, my Yuan. It hurts Mom so much. How much pain you must have been in at that time. How much pain, my Yuan. Don't be afraid anymore. Mom has dragged him to hell. No one can hurt you anymore. When I woke up, my face was covered with tears. I met my mother's eyes full of love. She gently wiped away my tears and said, did you have a nightmare? Yuan, Mom will make you a calming soup. I rushed into her arms and hugged her tightly. Being loved will make one grow flesh and blood again. With my mother by my side, I'm still willing to live a good life and love this world again. God gave me a chance to start over. I learned so many things and I'm so rich. I can make this world a better place. If there really is a God in this world, then I'm willing to do good deeds in this life in exchange for the next life and the life after that with my mother. Story 2. I had not even passed the 35-day mourning period after my death when my husband remarried. He cried to the outside world, saying, it's all for the child. Without a woman at home, it's inconvenient to take care of our daughter. But then he turned around and fawned over his new wife, saying, I love you so much. How could I bear to let you be a stepmother? As a result, our 5-year-old daughter was sent to be fostered in a remote rural area. She drank well water when she was thirsty and ate dirt when she was hungry. In the icy and snowy weather, a lewd old bachelor was tearing at my daughter's small cotton padded jacket. Don't scream, keep quiet, I'll take you to find your mother in a while. I was so anxious that I was going crazy, but I was powerless. When I opened my eyes again, I returned to the day of the traffic accident. This time, I took the initiative to sit in the driver's seat. I left the passenger seat, which would soon be smashed to pieces by a truck, for my husband. 1. Darling, take a nap, I'll drive. The Wu Jianshu in front of me was looking at me tenderly, stretching out his hand. I was in a trance for a moment. He urged with a puzzled look, give me the car keys, they're in your bag. Wu Jianshu walked closer to me, and his face quickly overlapped with those terrifying scenes in my mind. I realized that I had been reborn. In my previous life, we had clinched a big deal. I was so happy that I wanted to go home and see my daughter quickly, but as soon as we passed the toll station, a car accident occurred. At the moment the truck hit, Wu Jianshu jerked the steering wheel hard to the left. He turned the passenger seat towards the truck, and the stupid me subconsciously reached out my hand to protect him. The result was that I died, and he lived a carefree life. I took out the car keys from my bag and held them tightly in my hand. It's okay, honey, you have a rest, I'll drive today. 2. Wu Jianshu stood there, looking at me suspiciously. You don't like driving the most, let me do it. I don't trust your driving skills." I ignored him and walked straight towards the driver's cab. He didn't know that I was a good driver. I didn't like driving, but it didn't mean I couldn't. After hesitating for a while, he opened the door of the passenger seat and got in. "Honey, drive slowly, don't use cruise control. I'm afraid you won't be able to react in case of an emergency." I suddenly wanted to tease him. "What if we have a car accident? Bah, bah, bah. Can you say something auspicious? I mean, what if I die? You'll remarry soon for sure." "Absolutely not, if you leave. I'll follow you, you know I can't live without you." These words made me feel sick, but I endured it. "Come on, there's still our daughter. It's so pitiful if she has no one to take care of her." He thought seriously for a while. "Then I'll raise our daughter and then accompany you. It's meaningless to live without you." I laughed softly. In my previous life, I had always believed his lies. We were a famous model couple. When the young girls around us were looking for a partner, they would always say, "I want to find someone like brother-in-law. He's so family-oriented and loves you so much. I'm so envious." But no one knew that the model husband who everyone thought loved me to death, would sacrifice my life to save his own at the critical moment, and would treat his own biological daughter worse than a beast. 3. In my previous life, after the car accident, I was seriously injured, while he only had a very shallow scratch. When waiting for the ambulance, I was so afraid of dying. I endured the fear in my heart and the severe pain in my body, and begged him bitterly, "Honey, save me, save me." He swore and hugged me. "Darling, I will definitely save you. I'll sell everything to save you." After that, I lost consciousness, but my soul body lingered around my body all the time. I heard the doctor say that as long as I persisted in treatment, I had a chance to recover. But the cost would be very high, if the conditions allowed. It was recommended to persist in treatment. After all, I was young and had a good foundation. I was so happy, I could live, but the next second, Wu Jianxu made me feel like I had fallen into hell. "Can you guarantee that you can save her? What if we lose both money and the person?" The doctor frowned and explained, "We can't guarantee 100% successful treatment. We can only say that the probability of recovering to the point of being able to take care of oneself is still very high." He sneered. "Take care of oneself, what does that mean? With sequelae, you hospitals just want to cheat the common people's money. She's already so seriously injured, even if she's saved, she'll become a vegetable or be paralyzed in bed. What should I do? The person is still alive, but the money is gone. How can I live?" I watched with my own eyes as he signed the consent form to give up treatment. When my girlfriends and friends came to see me, he cried and said, "The doctor said that even if she's saved, she'll be a vegetable. I know Cheyenne best. She definitely doesn't want to live without dignity. She came to me in a dream yesterday and asked me to let her go. I can't bear it. Without her, I don't want to live either." My friends comforted him instead, telling him to be strong and think about our daughter. I was filled with despair, screaming and shouting. I wanted to live. My daughter was still so young. I wanted to accompany her to grow up, but I couldn't express myself. The doctor removed my life support system and told Wu Jianxu to say goodbye to me quickly. My soul returned to my body, and my life flashed back quickly. There was only one thing I couldn't let go of. I endured the last bit of consciousness and begged him bitterly, "Please, please raise our daughter well. Tell her that her mother loves her forever." His face was covered with tears, as if he was really reluctant to part with me. He held my hand tightly. "Don't worry, honey. I will definitely raise our daughter well. You can rest assured and go." I died, and before the 35-day mourning period was over, he complained to his buddies that he was so lonely without a woman around. A friend congratulated him, saying, "There are 3 great joys for a man: getting promoted, getting rich, and changing his wife. Not only did your wife clinch a big deal for you, but she also made room for you, brother. You're so lucky." I thought he would remarry, but I never expected it to be so soon. I watched him talk about cars, houses, and betrothal gifts with that young woman. Finally, they talked about my daughter. The other party said, "I will never be a stepmother." He couldn't wait to promise, "Of course, we're still young. After we get married, we'll have a child of our own." So, my precious daughter became a hot potato. Wu Jianxu called his parents for help. His parents said they had no obligation to take care of his child. Yes. His parents had always been dissatisfied because I gave birth to a daughter. They were impossible to contribute money or effort. So, Wu Jianxu found a distant relative he hardly knew and sent his daughter to be fostered in the countryside. I watched my daughter cry so hard that she almost couldn't breathe. She hugged his leg and called out, "Dad, I don't want to go. I want Mom, Dad, Mom, Mom." At that moment, I finally knew that the dead could also have a broken heart. I wanted to curse him. You shameless bastard, you don't even want your own biological daughter, you're bewitched by that fox spirit. But what was the use? I couldn't make a sound and couldn't take up a weapon, I could only be anxious. 5. Thinking of this, I stepped on the accelerator hard. Wu Jianqiu, who was almost asleep, was woken up by the sense of acceleration. Honey, why are you driving so fast? It's very dangerous, get out quickly. Let me drive. I ignored him and didn't reduce the force on my foot. Don't worry. I won't die. I want to accompany my daughter to grow up, watch her go to college, get married, and watch her be happy all her life. Seeing the tears in my eyes, he was a little flustered. What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare last night? Of course, we'll accompany our daughter. I smiled. Yes, I would accompany my daughter. But without you. He looked at me. Are you nervous? Is this sweat or tears? He reached out his hand to help me wipe it, but I subconsciously turned my head to avoid it. Then my whole body tensed up, and I held the steering wheel tightly with both hands, because I saw it, right in front. The truck that had taken my life in my previous life was roaring towards me. 6. There was a loud bang and a violent impact. I was dizzy. I had an intuition that the impact force was even stronger than in my previous life. After a while, I woke up from the dizziness. There was a lot of noise around. One of Wu Jianqiu's hands was resting on the edge of the seat, and blood had stained his entire sleeve red. The situation was exactly the opposite of my previous life. This time, he was lying on the ambulance with blood all over his face. He was moaning softly through his teeth. I couldn't hear clearly, but from his lip shape, I knew he was saying, "Honey, save me." I held his hand tightly and pretended to be very anxious in front of the nurse. "Honey, hold on, I will save you no matter what." I lowered my head, pressed my face against his, and whispered in his ear, "I won't let you die. I'll make you wish you were dead." After arriving at the hospital, the traffic police quickly found me. When investigating the accident in my previous life, the police were also very puzzled. The subconscious reaction of most people is to turn the steering wheel to the right. If you turn the steering wheel to the right, maybe nothing will happen. Yes, in my previous life, if he had turned the steering wheel to the right, I wouldn't have died, but the probability of him getting injured would have been greater. It can only be said that people are all selfish. At the critical moment, they sacrifice their lover's life to save their own. I pretended to be very scared and couldn't say a word for a long time. The traffic police patted me on the shoulder to comfort me. "Don't be too sad. The other party is fully responsible. There's insurance. Try your best to treat him." 7. At this time, the emergency doctor asked me, "He's seriously injured. There's a sign of intracranial hemorrhage. It's hard to say whether he can wake up. The family members should be mentally prepared." I told the doctor firmly, "Treat him with all your might. Letting him die easily was too good for him." After settling things here, I immediately called my best friend, Xiaoying. In my previous life, even after I died, Xiaoying had always cared about my daughter. After going to my house several times and not seeing Nini, Xiaoying slapped the table with Wu Jianqiu. "Where on earth have you sent Du Yan's child?" "I sent her to my parents' house." "What's wrong? Do I have to report to you where my daughter goes?" "Who the hell are you? You'd better have some humanity." "What's wrong with me? I'm only in my 30s. Am I supposed to be a bachelor for Du Yan for the rest of my life? Is that what you call humanity? Are you being reasonable?" At that time, my soul body could move around freely, watching Nini suffer in the village. I wanted to ask my best friend for help several times, but unfortunately, she couldn't see me. But I once saw her crying while looking at our group photo in the dead of night, so, after being reborn, the first person I thought of was her. I could trust her 100%. She rushed to the hospital immediately after receiving the news. She thought I would be heartbroken, but unexpectedly, I was so calm. What I'm going to say next may be hard for you to accept, but you must believe me. My best friend was in the financial industry, and her husband was a lawyer. I needed their help to sell the company's accounts and transfer the marital property. Wu Jianqiu would eventually die. After his death, the first heirs to his estate were my child and his parents, and I wouldn't leave a single cent to his parents. 8. Wu Jianqiu was admitted to the ICU, and then I notified his parents. After his parents arrived and heard about my decision to treat him with all my might, they were very gratified. They cried and said, "Xiu didn't treat you well for nothing. You take good care of him." I believe Xiu will definitely get better, although my mother-in-law treated me badly. She was wholeheartedly devoted to her son. As a mother myself, I should have sympathized with her, but thinking that my daughter had suffered so much because of her inaction, I was filled with hatred. I picked up my bag. "Nini is still young, she can't be alone at night, so, I'll leave the hospital to you." My mother-in-law looked at me in shock. "I'm so old, You want me to stay up all night to take care of him. The ICU doesn't need someone to accompany him all the time, of course. Wu Jianxu may die at any time. If you're not worried about not seeing him for the last time, you can leave. She slumped in the chair, with a tragic and broken expression. Of course, she wouldn't be at ease. Wu Jianxu was the apple of her eye, the most precious thing to her. Even if it meant exhausting herself to death, she would wait anxiously at the door. And I asked Xiaoying to drive me home as fast as possible to see my daughter. When my daughter saw me, she ran towards me like a little swallow. She threw herself into my arms and called me Mom sweetly. My heart melted. I held her tightly, with tears streaming down my face. I couldn't speak. I could only promise in my heart, "Don't be afraid, baby. Mom is back. This time, Mom will accompany you to grow up well." 9. At night, my daughter fell asleep. I held her and kept looking at her. I was reluctant to sleep, and even reluctant to blink, thinking of my daughter's experience in my previous life. I wished I could immediately go and strangle Wu Jianxu. After taking several deep breaths, I managed to calm down. I couldn't be hasty. There were still many accounts to be settled and people to be avenged. In my previous life, Wu Jianxu entrusted our daughter to a distant relative named Wu Shoulian. They agreed on a monthly living expense of 2,000 yuan. Wu Shoulian took out 1,800 yuan to play mahjong. The remaining 200 yuan was only enough to feed my daughter noodles or make some thin porridge with pickles. At first, my daughter couldn't eat it. She simply starved my daughter for 3 days. "You little brat, you're so spoiled, you're still being picky, your mother is dead, and your father doesn't want you either. You think you're a little princess here. If you have the ability, don't eat." My daughter was so hungry that she picked up the soil clods on the ground and put them in her mouth. My heart ached so much that I was almost crazy. My daughter had never suffered like this before. When I was alive, the millet porridge was pureed and used to make dough, and then made into various small steamed buns in the shapes of animals. My daughter had small leather shoes and small skirts that were different every season. Her hair was decorated with beautiful bows. She was the most beautiful little princess in the kindergarten. But now, she was always in the mahjong parlor with Wu Shoulian. The people around her smoking made her cough. When she said she was thirsty, that woman waved her hand. "Take a ladle and go outside to find water to drink." I watched my daughter, in the cold weather, pick up a gourd, made ladle and scoop up raw water from the water tank and take a sip. The water was so cold that it made her cough even more severely. I really wanted to hug her. Her little face was flushed. She seemed to have a fever. But no one cared at all. Sometimes Wu Shoulian remembered to make a bowl of instant noodles for her. If she didn't remember, my daughter would have to endure hunger. Once, unable to stand my daughter's loud crying, Wu Shoulian slapped her in the face. "Cry, cry, cry. If it weren't for you, this little jinx, could I have lost so much money today?" A neighbor said, "Look at how hungry you've made the child. Her father gave you money. Why don't you make something for the child to eat? The little money her father gave is not enough for anything, and he still wants me to take care of such a young child. Do you know how much a nursery worker makes in the city? At least 8,000 yuan. He wants to send me away with 2,000 yuan. The neighbor laughed. "Hey, little girl, your parents don't want you anymore. You'll grow up in this village from now on. I'll find you a husband when you grow up. Don't forget my kindness to you. Share half of the bride price with me." "Okay." The people around burst into laughter. Someone else said, "I think this girl looks pretty good. Why not marry her to my family? She can get married at 18, live with us first. Once she gives birth to a son, we'll register when she reaches the legal age." "What if she gives birth to a daughter?" "If she gives birth to a daughter?" "That won't do. If she gives birth to a daughter, you'll have to leave in a month, 30 days exactly." The few women around burst into another round of laughter. My daughter looked around blankly and then lowered her head, murmuring, "Dad, Mom," softly. My heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. I wished I could rush up and tear their mouths apart. Wu Shoulian was very impatient. "Stop talking about your parents. Your mother is a short-lived ghost. And your father is not a good person either." The people around clicked their tongues in pity. "Once there's a stepmother, there will be a stepfather." "That's really true." "Yes, that's really true. It's all my fault, all my fault. I died without a care. But I hurt my daughter." 10. At that time, I was by her side every day. I wanted to say to her, "Nini, don't be afraid. Mom is always here, watching you. I just can't kiss you or hug you. But Mom is always with you. Please be strong. When you grow up a bit, there won't be so many people bullying you." I prayed that as time passed, my girlfriends and friends would eventually notice something was wrong and perhaps come to rescue my daughter. But I watched helplessly as one midnight, an old bachelor in the village carried my daughter away. my daughter struggled and screamed. He covered her mouth with his hand. Girl, don't scream, your mother is right over there. As long as you keep quiet, I'll take you to find her. My daughter stopped screaming. The old bachelor was tearing at my daughter's small cotton, padded jacket, and she didn't make a sound. I knew she missed her mother. I knew how much she missed me. The look of expectation in her eyes burned through me. I wanted to shout, scream, baby, call for help, let go of my daughter. I was so anxious that I was going crazy, but I was powerless. Suddenly, a white light flashed, and I woke up, covered in cold sweat. 11. Wu Jianxu's condition was not optimistic. He had been on a ventilator for several days but still had no spontaneous breathing. The doctor said that his trachea needed to be incised and once again told me that the rescue was actually meaningless. His parents were in a panic and began to waver, but I firmly said, cut it, because I knew that his soul body was hovering nearby, just like me in my previous life. I wanted him to witness his own suffering with his own eyes, after the tracheotomy. Even if he regained consciousness, he could no longer speak. The day he was transferred out of the ICU, I saw him for the first time. His head was shaved bald, a nasogastric tube was inserted into his nose, his trachea was cut open, and a urinary catheter was inserted under his body. He was so thin that he was just skin and bones. I called him softly, and he slowly opened his eyes. The doctor said it was already a miracle that he had regained consciousness. But he was completely paralyzed and couldn't move. My mother-in-law cried heart-rendingly in distress, but I couldn't help but want to laugh. It was just what I wanted. After calming down, my mother-in-law started to formally discuss with me the issue of Wu Jianxu's care. I firmly stated that I had to take care of the child and had no time. My mother-in-law, who had always maintained a harmonious facade, cursed at me. You're his wife. If you don't take care of him, who will? You always use the child as an excuse. What's the use of putting so much effort into a little girl? If Shushu dies, our Wu family will be without an heir. You take good care of him. If he recovers, you can still have another child. I almost burst out laughing. Even to this day, they were still dreaming of having a grandson. I suddenly lifted the quilt off Wu Jianxu, revealing his injured lower body. I'm sorry, Mom. His thing for passing on the family line was damaged. I told the doctor that saving his life was the most important thing, so we cut it off. My mother-in-law stared blankly at Wu Jianxu's lower body, her eyes rolled up, and she fainted on the spot. 12. On the day of his discharge, I hired a private ambulance and directly sent Wu Jianxu to my mother-in-law's house. My mother-in-law refused to open the door. I asked the workers to remove the stretcher, carried Wu Jianxu and put him on the ground in front of my mother-in-law's door. Then turned around and left. No mother could bear to see her son suffer so much. My mother-in-law wiped her tears, cursed at me, and took care of her son day and night, but it wasn't long before I heard that the old couple was so exhausted that they could hardly straighten their backs. Taking care of a paralyzed person requires turning him over, patting his back, suctioning phlegm, and feeding liquid food every day. They couldn't sleep all night. The next time I saw my father-in-law and mother-in-law, the old man and the old woman had become visibly thinner, with sunken eye sockets. My mother-in-law, who had always been so arrogant, begged me pitifully, Shayan, you're young after all, please take care of Shushu, we really can't take it anymore, Mom will pay the expenses, as long as you can take over. I lowered my head and thought for a while, okay, Dad, Mom, but I have one condition. My mother-in-law's eyes lit up. What condition? I want you to transfer the ownership of this house to Nini. As expected, the old woman flew into a rage. So you've been eyeing my money. I smiled. Don't say it like that. You only have Nini as your granddaughter. Isn't it normal to leave the house to her? I knew that my father-in-law was a person who always favored his younger brother and had deeply ingrained patriarchal ideas. My father-in-law had a nephew, and his nephew had also given birth to a son. I was worried that after they passed away, they might leave their inheritance to the boys in the Wu family. They were old, sparing their lives was already my mercy, but I had to fight for the greatest rights for Nini. 13. After a few days of deadlock, my father-in-law and mother-in-law agreed, after completing the transfer procedures. I took Wu Jianxu away. He squinted at me, whining and groaning. It seemed like he was saying, darling, you're the best, I knew you wouldn't leave me alone. I rented a dilapidated house in a community 20 kilometers away from home and settled Wu Jianxu there. Then, relying on my memories from my previous life, I managed to find Wu Sholian in the countryside. I told her that I planned to hire her long-term, paying her 4,000 yuan a month to take care of Wu Jianxu for me. That greedy woman was overjoyed and rushed here by train overnight. At night, I held my daughter in my arms and told her the story of the big bad wolf and the big bad wolf. She raised her little face innocently. Mom, you told it wrong. It's the story of the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit. I kissed her with a smile. How can the little white rabbit defeat the big bad wolf? The best way to deal with a bad person is to find another bad person. A greedy and vicious gambler like Wu Shilian was the most suitable person to take care of Wu Jianqiu. 14. Wu Shilian herself was even more disgusting than I remembered in my previous life. She had a mouthful of yellow teeth and a strong smell of tobacco on her body. Afraid that I would dislike her, she fawned on me, saying, "Younger sister, we rural people don't pay much attention to those things. But I'm very careful when I work. Just leave my big cousin to me, don't worry." I endured the nausea and held the hand she stretched out. "Sister, I'm entrusting my husband to you completely. I'm busy with work, and the child is still young. I can't come often. Please take more trouble." I carefully explained to her the daily care process for Wu Jianqiu. Apparently, she didn't remember. She didn't ask, and I didn't say it a second time. After all, she could take care of him however she wanted. After that, whenever I had time, I would enjoy the miserable situation of Wu Jianqiu through the monitor. Wu Jianqiu's face was distorted, and he made ah-ah sounds. Wu Shilian was sound asleep beside him, woken up by his ah-ah sounds. She slapped him hard. "Who the hell are you calling? I lost all my money playing cards. It's all your fault. You're always whining. If you make a sound again, I'll poison you dumb with a whole bottle of medicine." Wu Jianqiu really didn't dare to make a sound. Not long after, the sound of slaps came from the monitor again. "Pa pa pa, you peed again. Even though you're like this, it doesn't stop you from peeing. Stop drinking water. You pee right after you drink, and you shit right after you eat. You're such a nuisance." There were banging sounds on the monitor. That was the sound of Wu Shilian venting her dissatisfaction. At first, afraid that I would see, Wu Shilian always pinched him. She pinched the inside of Wu Jianqiu's thighs and the inside of his arms until they were red and purple. Last time, I deliberately lifted the quilt. She was so scared that she quickly explained, "My big cousin's body always turns blue like this. Maybe he's been lying down for too long." I quickly said that it wasn't her fault. It was normal for bed-ridden patients to have some problems. I could understand. 15. Because of my indulgence, Wu Shilian became even more unscrupulous. Sometimes I even wanted to applaud her. She was really ruthless. When she didn't want to clean up the excrement and urine, she wouldn't give Wu Jianqiu anything to eat or drink. In 2 days, Wu Jianqiu was dehydrated and on the verge of death. I quickly went there once. After all, it wouldn't be fun if he died too quickly. Wu Shilian was lazy and played online mahjong all day long. She didn't turn Wu Jianqiu over. In less than a week, Wu Jianqiu developed bedsores. Wu Jianqiu was in so much pain that he howled through the incised trachea. His voice was distorted and filled with anger. This only brought him another round of slaps, but after all, I'm a kind-hearted person. I went there again to bring some medicine for Wu Jianqiu. Looking at Wu Jianqiu's emaciated face, I called out to him, "Honey, when will you get better? I'm almost at the end of my rope." Wu Jianqiu's face was distorted, and tears welled up in his eyes and fell in strings. He looked so pitiful. I endured the nausea and got close to him. After all, Wu Shilian hadn't bathed him for a month. The excrement and urine on his body mixed together, giving off a stench. "Honey, does the bed sores feel good? Now it's only grade 2, not painful enough. It's said that this disease will rot to the bone and make people want to commit suicide, but I can't bear to let you die. You haven't suffered enough yet." After saying that, I left. During this period, my mother-in-law went to see Wu Jianqiu twice. When she saw her son's miserable state, she fainted directly. She rushed to my company to argue with me. "Du Yan, you're really heartless. How could you let Wu Shilian take care of Xiu? She's a well-known scoundrel among our relatives. She's lazy, greedy, and cunning. How could she treat Xiu well?" I looked at her coldly. So she knew that Wu Shilian was unreliable, but she let Wu Jianqiu send my daughter into the fire pit. So what could I say today? One word: deserved. Before she could say anything else, I suggested, "Mom, since you're so distressed about Xiu, why don't you take him back and take care of him yourself? You know, I really don't have the energy. Hiring a nanny to take care of him is already the limit of my kindness." My mother-in-law trembled and couldn't say a word. She came less and less often. Maybe it was out of sight, out of mind. Or maybe, as the rumors said, she had depression. I really didn't have the time to find out, because I had more important things to do. 16. On the weekend, I wore a brand name casual outfit and came to an internet cafe. Xiaoying gave me the information that Wu Jianshu's few good-for-nothing friends often came here recently. As soon as I entered the door, I saw him, Chen Yang, in my previous life. It was he who introduced that woman to Wu Jianshu and also fanned the flames to persuade Wu Jianshu to send Nini away. Brother Su, Xiaotao is so nice. If you miss her, you won't be able to find someone like her again. Can you let a big girl be a stepmother? Then you can find a divorced woman. Both of them have children and live together. Don't dislike each other. Seeing that Wu Jianshu was wavering, he continued to incite him. It's just a daughter. Let Xiaotao give you another one. Have a son. My brother Su is so amazing. He'll definitely get her pregnant in one go. You have to have your own child to have a stable family. The stupid Wu Jianshu actually believed it and treated that woman like a treasure. In fact, he became a cheap father. Chen Yang and Xiaotao had long been having an affair, but both of them were idle and couldn't even support themselves. Fortunately, Wu Jianshu became the sucker, so he was also to blame for harming my daughter. How could I let him go? 17. I flashed in front of him, and he came over obsequiously and called me sister-in-law, saying, "How's my brother? I've been really busy recently and haven't had the time to visit him." I played with the curls by my ear and said sadly, "Your brother is definitely not going to make it. He's just hanging on by a thread. Alas, this is my brother's fate. Sister-in-law, you've done your best. Everyone in our circle knows your deep affection for my brother. Even though he's like that, you still insist on not giving up. I often tell my buddies that whoever marries you is really lucky." His arm touched mine intentionally or unintentionally. I didn't dodge and gave him a charming smile. But without a man by my side, it's really hard for me. A woman. 7 days later, I looked at the messages on my phone. They were all from Chen Yang. On average, he sent 10 messages, and I replied to one. I kept him on tenterhooks. Finally, he couldn't hold it in and sent me a long essay. The general meaning was that he had admired me for a long time, but before, because I was his buddy's wife, he couldn't express his feelings. Now he wanted to take care of our mother-daughter. I smiled. The fish had taken the bait. 18. I occasionally had dinner with Chen Yang, maintaining a lukewarm and ambiguous relationship with him. I often talked to him about my company's business and showed off my wealth by the way. After a few interactions, he was so eager that he became more and more attentive to me. I finally gave him a little. That day, I opened my heart to him and said that the company was short of a trustworthy person who knew the inside story. He immediately volunteered. I shook my head. It has to be a woman, with your brother lying there. If I have a man by my side, people will talk. He immediately said that he had a sister who was just right. So I met Su Taotao. As soon as Su Taotao came, I took the initiative to hold her hand, and gave Chen Yang an ambiguous look. Taotao, you were introduced by Chen Yang, so you're like family. My company is short of a cashier. I really don't feel at ease using an outsider. You come. She looked a little dilemma. Sister, but I don't know how. It doesn't matter if you don't know. I'll have someone teach you. You can earn money and learn skills in my company. I glanced at Chen Yang and said considerately, we women still have to have our own skills to make a living. Don't you think so? She visited my company enviously. Yeah, I wish I could be as capable as you. Sister, someday, you're Chen Yang's sister. We're all family. Chen Yang immediately came up to me and put his arm around my waist. I swatted his hand away playfully. Naughty. With a quick turn, I didn't miss the triumphant glances they exchanged. 19. I strung Chen Yang along for 2 months, spending money on him, flirting with him, but never letting him touch me. He was so impatient that he kept asking me how we could take our relationship to the next level. I pouted at him. Wu Jianshu is still alive. I'm a traditional woman. I won't have a physical relationship with you unless we get married. His eyes lit up at the mention of marriage. After all, getting married meant sharing wealth together, which was much more reliable than just dating. He immediately expressed his stance. I'm also a traditional man. I can't wait to be with you forever. I looked at him with a longing expression, then feigned regret. You'd better not wait for me. Your brother Su still has a breath left. It's really hard to say when that breath will be gone. It could be a year or 2, or maybe 3 or 5 years. You know, there are cases of vegetative patients waking up more than 20 years later on the internet. Maybe he'll suddenly get better someday. He was taken aback, and a glint of malice flashed in his eyes. Sure enough, not long after, he proposed to go and see his brother Su. I naturally agreed, pleading busyness. I gave him the address and told him to go by himself. 20. I was a bit surprised that Wu Jianshu died so quickly. I thought Chen Yang would come up with some other methods, but I overestimated him. When I received the news of Wu Jianshu's death, Qin Yang was overjoyed and offered to help me with the funeral arrangements. My in-laws cried until they fainted and cursed me as a venomous woman. I didn't care at all. I directly asked the doctor for an autopsy. Qin Yang froze on the spot, looking flustered. Is it necessary? He was already so seriously ill. He was going to die sooner or later. What's the point of an autopsy? I looked at him and smiled. Even if he was a paralytic, he was still alive. If you kill him, you have to pay with your life. Qin Yang's face turned deathly pale. He took several steps back and then turned around and ran. He hadn't run 200 meters before he was caught by the arriving police. Of course, this was my doing. As soon as Wu Jianxiu passed away, I took the surveillance video to the police. In the video, it was clear that when Qin Yang went to see Wu Jianxiu, he brought a bottle of mineral water. After that, he chatted and laughed with Wu Xiulian for a long time in whispers. Wu Xiulian used a syringe to feed the water Qin Yang brought to Wu Jianxiu. During this process, Wu Xiulian even said, "If this were poison, it would be a relief for him." Qin Yang laughed loudly. "That's right, he and I are good buddies. I'm just giving him a hand and sending him on his way." In the video, Wu Jianxiu could be seen screaming in horror. It turned out that a person's will to survive could be so strong, even though he was no longer human-like, he still didn't want to die. Unfortunately, there was no way out. Qin Yang had fed him paraquat. 100 milliliters, a short death dose. After the autopsy results came out, I sued both Qin Yang and Wu Xiulian in court. 21. Qin Yang wasn't stupid. He immediately realized that he had been set up by me. In court, he insisted that he was in a relationship with me and that he had killed Wu Jianxiu at my instigation. I handed over the long chat records between Qin Yang and me to the police. From the chat records, it could be seen that I rarely replied to him, and he had been pestering me. I had repeatedly stated that I had a husband and that I couldn't have anything to do with him, but he had been persistently pursuing me. At the same time, the staff of my company could also testify. Moreover, my insistence on treating Wu Jianxiu before was also regarded as a symbol of our good marital relationship. All the ambiguous words I had said to him were spoken secretly when only the two of us were together. He had no evidence. I never expected that my father-in-law and mother-in-law would stand up as witnesses in court. They testified against me for abusing Wu Jianxiu. "This bitch must have someone else outside. She abused my son and asked us for the house. She's not a good person." I just looked at them innocently. I presented Wu Jianxiu's WeChat chat records to the judge. In the records, there were all kinds of scolding from my mother-in-law towards me, right after I gave birth. My mother-in-law said, "I asked a fortune teller about Du Yan. The master said that with a table-sized family, she needs to give birth to 4 daughters before she can have a son. You should divorce her quickly. When the child was less than 100 days old, she's had enough rest." The Zhang family's daughter-in-law had 2 sons in 3 years, both boys. Du Yan thinks she's a princess. Why doesn't she hurry up and give the Wu family a son? Your wife is greedy and lazy. When I went there, she only cooked 6 dishes for me. Doesn't she know that 8 means prosperity and 10 means perfection? She has no manners. Son, if you really don't want to divorce, Mom will find you a woman who can give birth to a son. After she gives birth, bring the child back to raise. If Du Yan dares to say no, kick her out. The judge frowned while reading, and my mother-in-law's face turned green and white. Actually, I had seen these records a long time ago, but at that time, Wu Jianxiu and I had a good relationship. For the harmony of the family, I endured it all. Now that the old woman was actually accusing me, it was just the right time to let everyone see her true face. After Wu Jianxiu was cremated, the old woman held on to her last bit of strength and fought me for the ashes. She wanted to send Wu Jianxiu to the family cemetery to be laid to rest. When I heard this, I wasn't too happy. Why should he be laid to rest in peace? I directly lifted the lid and poured the ashes into the trash can of a roadside restaurant. Let the stray dogs in this area get some calcium supplements. It could be considered his merit. The old woman was like a deflated balloon. She slumped by the trash can, shedding tears as she picked up the ashes bit by bit. I suddenly felt a bit sorry for her. It was so pitiful, this love of a mother for her son. But in my previous life, who pitied me, who pitied my daughter? 22. In the end, Qin Yang was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide in the first instance trial. Wu Xiulian, as an accomplice, was sentenced to 17 years and 8 months. Since Qin Yang was arrested, Tao Tao had been very uneasy. Qin Yang's creditors all came to her to ask for money. She visibly became haggard. I deliberately asked the finance department to relax the supervision of her. As a cashier, she could access a large amount of the company's funds. The chief accountant told her the successful cases of cashiers embezzling public funds every now and then. Finally, when handling a sum of funds, she made a move. At first, she just embezzled public funds to buy financial products and earn some interest. She got away with it once or twice, and her got bigger and bigger. Finally, when she embezzled 12 million yuan of the company's funds, I called the police. After all, if she embezzled a small amount, she would only be sentenced to 3 or 2 years, which really wouldn't relieve my hatred. In the end, Su Taotao embezzled a particularly large amount of public funds and was sentenced to 17 years. It was just right for her to go in and keep her sister Wu company. That was quite good. 23. Everything had finally come to an end, and my company's business was booming. I became a well-known female entrepreneur in the city. At the end of the year, when being interviewed by a magazine, the host asked me, "In the past, the label everyone gave you was strong. I want to know what supported you to get through so many hardships." I thought for a while and answered firmly, "My daughter. You must have heard that saying, a child is both a weakness and an armor. Because of her, I became invincible." He smiled and nodded. "Then may I ask what your wish is for the new year?" Without hesitation, I said, "I have only one wish, not just for this year, but for every year and every day in the future. I only have this one wish. I hope my daughter can grow up healthily and safely, and I can accompany her for a long, long time."